Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Ben here, and today I'm coming at you with a video about something that's been bothering me for a while now in the NBA circles, and it's about the term superstar. So now, all of us have heard this term tons of times when people discuss NBA players. You've heard people call LeBron James, Kevin Durant, superstar, superstar. But my problem with this term is that lately I've heard people call players such as Jimmy Butler, superstar, Paul George, superstar, John Wall, superstar, even guys I've heard mentioned like Kemba Walker, superstar. I don't know, there's tons of examples. Like Draymond Green, superstar. Klay Thompson, superstar. Like, I get that these guys are good players, but they are not superstars. I can say it many times over if that's easier for people to understand. They are not superstars. Basically, my problem with this is that I think people have now turned if you make the All-Star team, people are starting to turn that into saying that you're a superstar if you make the All-Star team. I say no way. Really what I think is that you are a superstar if you are, let's say, maybe one of the top 10. You have to at least be a top 10 player in the NBA. And then I think besides that, let's say if you're not a top 10 player in the NBA, you have to have like a dynamite personality. Like Joel Embiid, you could argue he might not be in the top 10 players in the NBA, but he has such a great personality. It's so compelling and interesting that he's definitely a superstar. Or you might say, well, Kawhi Leonard has like no personality. He's like a block of wood, but he is like maybe a top 5 player in the NBA. Does that make him a superstar? Yes, it does. Because I think at the level he plays at, there is just it makes him a superstar. You can't really argue it. But then a guy like Klay Thompson, people call him a superstar, and he doesn't really have the personality to go with a superstar. And he's definitely not a top 10 player in the NBA, so you really can't argue that he is. Or Jimmy Butler. Yes, he sort of has an interesting personality, but he really hasn't been in the public eye that much lately, or until this incident that's gone on recently, and this whole debacle with trading him away. And people don't really know his personality that well. They know that he wants to be traded, but what do they really know about him besides that? Paul George, when he was going to be a free agent, people kept saying, where will superstar Paul George go? Newsflash, Paul George, if you average out his career averages are like 19, 5, and 5. That's not a superstar. And even if you look at last year, he averaged like 25 and 5. I don't believe that's a superstar, because that's what Gordon Hayward averaged when he was an all-star. And if you ask me, Gordon Hayward's not a superstar. And Paul George doesn't have the personality to make him a superstar either. He's very quiet. He rarely talks. When he does talk, he says, I'm not going to LA. I'm staying in OKC. That's really the only thing I can ever remember Paul George saying that I've remembered. Maybe Indiana fans can remember specific things he said, but I can't. And Kemba Walker, people said he was maybe a college superstar, but when we talk about him in the NBA, he's a 2-time All-Star. That does not by any means make you an All-Star or a superstar. You are an All-Star. There should be a distinct difference, which there does not seem to be right now, which is frankly quite frustrating. If you want, I'll give you guys my opinion on what I gave you my definition of superstar. I'll give you who I think are superstar players, and then I'll talk about guys who are not, who I think commonly are said to be superstar players. So I think you have LeBron in that superstar category. You got Durant. You have Steph. This is in no particular order, by the way. Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, Giannis, and that's really it right there, those 7 guys. There's one guy I'm trying to think of. I can't quite think of him right now. Alright, I thought of him. His name is obviously James Harden, the guy I got on the poster right there. So yeah, I'd say those 8 guys are the superstars of the NBA right now. I'd say anyone else who claims to be is not. Chris Paul, yes, he's in a lot of commercials, but I'd say he's fallen to be maybe like a top 15, top 20 player in the NBA. His talent is still there. He's still a tremendous player, but he's not a superstar. Superstar is supposed to be a small group. It's not supposed to be 25 to 30 players, because then are they really, as the guy from Incredible says, are they really all that super if everybody is? No, they're just an all-star player. We've basically, in mainstream media, ESPN, Fox, other sources you can think of, they've combined all-star and superstar to just mean one thing of like general like good player. But as I've said, I don't think that a lot of guys who get billed as superstars are not. Kyrie Irving, another guy. Kyrie Irving and Damian Lillard, two other guys that people would argue are definitely superstars. Newsflash. Kyrie Irving has never led a team that's won more than 35 games. Last year, you could argue till you're blue in the face he led that team. He missed the last 25 games and all of the playoffs. He didn't lead them when it mattered whatsoever. He led them up until March, which doesn't really, or March or February, honestly, which doesn't mean as much as leading a team in April, which Jason Tatum was doing. Damian Lillard, a guy that loses in the first round, to me, that's not a superstar. You might say, yes, but Russell Westbrook 2 years ago is losing in the first round. Yeah, but he has a much bigger personality than Dame does. Dame really doesn't have any notable personality whatsoever, whereas Russ gives the media a lot of tidbits. It's kind of crazy. He has an eccentric personality that people latch on to. He also has way better stats than Damian, so he's a better player, obviously. But Kyrie's he has a personality that people in the mainstream media know. He gives us some sound bites. The Earth is flat, etc. He talks. He has a mainstream movie now. I still don't see him in that echelon, though. I don't see him being better than Giannis. I don't see him being better than Kawhi or Westbrook or Harden or Steph or Durant or LeBron. I don't see him being better than any of those guys. So I just had a problem with this because I feel like everybody wants to say that everybody's a superstar these days. But like when Michael Jordan played, you know who the superstars were? They were Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, Hakeem, and David Robinson and Patrick Ewing. Those were the superstars, about 5 guys. And in later eras, we don't even remember players who weren't the superstars because there were only a few that stuck out. Like the 60s, the superstars were Bill Russell, Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, Oscar Robertson. The 70s, they were Kareem, Moses Malone. The 80s, it was Magic, Bird, still Kareem, Michael Jordan came in at that point. So, and then the 2000s, that's Kobe and Shaq and LeBron and Tim Duncan, I guess. And you could say Dirk Nowitzki and Kevin Durant as well. Or, excuse me, Kevin Garnett. But this idea, now it's like everybody gets referred to as superstar. It's really annoying. And I just had a beef with that and had to bring it up on this channel because that's my way of bringing up my beefs with mainstream NBA media if I have them. So yeah, please, if you are out there and you're referring to guys like Paul George and Jimmy Butler as superstars, please refrain from that because I think we can all agree that a guy like Jimmy Butler is not on the level of a guy like Kevin Durant. We can agree that Paul George is not the same player as Kawhi or Giannis. They're just not on the same level. And I think after those 8 guys I named, to reiterate, those 8 guys are LeBron, Durant, Harden, Westbrook, Steph, Kawhi, Giannis, and dang it, now I can't remember the last guy again. Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is the last superstar. So 8 guys right there. And really outside of that, you could argue Joel Embiid is the last one who's like on the fringe. But he's like the maybe or like the honorable mention. But besides that, Kyrie hasn't had enough success. He's only made like 3 or 4 All-Star teams. Kyrie's only ever been on 1 All-NBA team. And you're trying to tell me he's a superstar? No, he is not. Damian Lillard, he's made like 3 All-Star teams. He's not a superstar. He's about the 4th best point guard in the NBA as it stands right now, if you count Harden as a point guard. You can't be the 4th best at your position and be a superstar. I'm sorry, you can't be. And Chris Paul is a guy who used to be a superstar, but he's not really anymore. Guys like Carmelo and Wade, obviously not anymore. People need to stop calling them superstars if they still do that. The hardest guys are the guys like, who am I trying to think of here? Like a Dame. Dame is really the hardest guy to put as whether he's a superstar or not, because he's the best player on his team for sure. He's one of the best players in the NBA. He's always in the top 5 in scoring, but is he a superstar? I just don't see it. I think that superstar is a very elite, very small, selective group of people, and I don't see many people as part of that group. I don't want to, or else the term really loses its meaning. I'd say, like, for guys like Kyrie, Paul George, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, DeMarcus Cousins, those guys are all-stars. Or if you think that that's not a good enough term, you could say perennial all-stars. But they're just not superstars. And I know that you could easily refute what I'm saying here, and if you don't agree with me, let me know in the comments. I'd love to debate it with you, because I feel pretty strongly about this subject. I know it's kind of meaningless, but or arbitrary or random, but I think it's a thing that we need to make note of and react to and put in place, because there's way too many superstars in the NBA today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you got something meaningful out of my take on this, and let me know what you think in the comments. Have a good day, guys. Bye.